On everybody, so Apple has just wrapped up the WWDC21 Keynote, and they announced, of course, a lot of new software changes. So let's go ahead and go over all those today, and I'm going to give you some of my thoughts about them. Now, overall, this event really, it was kind of disappointing, but it was kind of, some nice things here and there. Not really as big of changes as I think some people were expecting. But again, there are some nice new changes here and there. I think the most disappointing OS out of all of them was iPadOS, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. But first off, let's talk about some FaceTime. So FaceTime, as I said in one of my short videos, is basically Zoom. I guess Apple realized they're a little bit out of the work from home thing. Everybody's using Zoom. So they wanted to basically turn FaceTime into that. So now you have the ability to share content with others on the call, so everybody can listen to a certain song together, or you can share your screen, or you can even watch a movie together. There's also going to be spatial audio, so it makes you feel like, well, everybody is in the room with you. It just makes everything sound a little bit better. There's also a new voice isolation method, so it basically minimizes all the background noises. There's even portrait mode for your FaceTime calls to make you look better, I guess. And we also have a new grid view, so if you don't like the whole, if you're on a group FaceTime call and everybody's just changing sizes the whole time, you can now just have a grid view. And here's the one that really got me, FaceTime links. So you can literally invite Windows or Android users to a FaceTime call. Now they have to actually access it in a web browser, but it's still pretty cool that Apple's going to be integrating everybody now, right? But yeah, basically turn FaceTime into a Zoom competitor, I guess. Messages got some nice things here and there. So there's a new shared with you feature. So this basically allows you to see everything that people shared with you throughout different applications. So for example, if somebody sends you some photos, you'll have a new collage kind of look, but it'll also appear in your Photos app. Same with music, a podcast, news. If you go into any of those apps, you'll actually see the stuff from your messages in the app. Focus is going to be a new way to help you kind of divide up your personal life with your work life, or even you can set custom ones. So they got examples like gaming, reading, fitness. So basically, if you want to just get in the moment on something, you can now do that. And you can even let others know that you are focusing on something. So if your friends are texting you while you're at work, for example, it will not come through unless they say it is an urgent message. Now, to go along with the new focus, there is a new notification center design. So we now have actual icons over here to help you better tell what apps are actually coming through. You even have pictures for people and messages. And there's also a new summary view, so your notifications will not just be spamming you in there. You can see a summary for different times of the day. So that's pretty cool. Live text is a feature here that, well, it's nothing new as usual. Apple's pretty slow to adopt some things like this, but I feel like they do that because they want to do it correctly. So now basically if you take your camera and you point it to something like a business card, for example, you can actually extract text from images and you can use it throughout. So like, for example, this email, you just send an email, or even this phone number right here, you could call it. And this even works with actual photos in your camera roll as well. So I think live text is going to be a pretty handy feature that a lot of people are going to use. And the live text will even work with translation, which I think is pretty neat too. Spotlight has gotten a lot better, so much more rich results here, much more easier to read results. If you use memories in your Photos app, you can now incorporate your Apple Music into there and choose specific songs for your memories. And it kind of changes, everything up depending on the beat of the song. This is the one that really got me, the new wallet feature. So Apple really wants you to get rid of that physical wallet. And this is pretty crazy to me. So you're going to be able to add your driver's license into the wallet app. So you're going to be able to use this for, authentication purposes if you need to present your ID for some reason, even to travel, and the TSA is going to accept the digital ID. So I think that is pretty awesome. Now, some people might consider this like a security risk. You know, do I really want to put my ID that stores a lot of personal information about me in my phone? But who knows? Also, states are going to have to obviously approve this for use and everything, so it's probably going to be a slow adoption rate, but I can see it being popular in the future. Also, to go along with your ID, you can now have different keys. So you can literally have a house key. So if you have a smart home lock and you want to put your house key in there, you just walk up to your front door and it unlocks automatically for you. You can also do this if you have like a pass to get into your office at work, or a hotel key card, or even your garage. So very cool. Definitely trying to just get rid of everything except your phone. But yeah, driver's license in Apple Wallet. Let me know what you guys think about that one. Here's obviously one of the most important features. I know it's kind of hard to see it, but the weather app has been completely redesigned. So you now have better kind of graphics and things for your hourly forecast, your 10-day. You also have different animations in the back, so it kind of times it more to the specific time of day. So if it's late afternoon, you know, the sun will obviously be in the correct place, that kind of thing like that. And also the weather app is going to feature radar, about time, and severe weather alerts. So that right there is going to be enough to make me ditch things like the Weather Channel app, which is now literally filled with ads and unusable. So yeah, the stock weather app has gotten a huge upgrade, and a very good one. Here's another mind-blowing thing, and just shows you Apple's attention to detail is just absolutely insane. But the Maps application has also got a major update. So there's now a globe view. So if you zoom all the way out, you can see the whole world. But if you zoom all the way in on select cities at the moment, so for example, we're here in San Francisco. If you zoom all the way in, they've actually literally modeled all of the cities. So you can see this ferry building right here. I mean, you can even see the hands on the clock. I saw somebody on Twitter where they found an Apple store in San Francisco, and they literally had like individual computers and stuff on the tables inside. I mean, it was just ridiculous. But yeah, so incredible attention to detail. You can see trees, you can see lines on the road, you can see elevation changes, and your navigation, it's going to be very helpful, those lines on the road. I know that's a big thing for some people. You know, if they're in an unfamiliar area and you're supposed to turn left, you want to know how many turning lanes and which one is the right lane to get into. So yeah, navigation in Apple Maps is going to be a lot better now, but again, this is going to take a while to actually obviously detail every single location in the US. So yeah, if you live in a city that already has this, and there's a few of them, well, you're going to be enjoying it on day one. And the final thing they talked about with iOS was some AirPod changes. So there's a new conversation boost feature, which I think is super cool. So it kind of uses the noise cancellation, trickery, and things like that to enhance somebody else talking to you. So if you're slightly hearing impaired, you could have your AirPods in, and it basically amplifies the other person's conversation. So it's kind of like I guess you could say a little bit like a hearing aid, but not like a full hearing aid. But that might be a sign in the future that Apple could make AirPods that could be hearing aids, and that would be, you know, something really, really cool to have. There's also a new way that Siri can read you different notifications, so especially if one's like time sensitive or something like that. Also, your AirPods will now let you know on your phone if they've been separated from your device. So if you leave them somewhere and you start, you know, getting far away from them and it loses the Bluetooth signal, it will actually notify you, hey, you've been separated from your AirPods. And also the spatial audio in your AirPods will be coming to tvOS and M1 enabled Mac, as well as Dolby Atmos sound. So that's everything to do here with iOS 15. So let's go ahead and jump over to iPadOS. So with iPadOS, I have seen people describe this as immensely disappointing, which I kind of have to agree, because iPadOS has so much potential, And I know personally that I would love to replace my Mac with an iPad because it's just getting that much better. And there's a lot of features that Apple kind of acted like were brand new, but they're not. I mean, for example, this is basically like iPadOS 14 now completely. So there were things like widgets on the home screen that we didn't get in iOS 14. Why? I don't know, but they're now here. So you can put widgets on your home screen wherever you want to. There's also some extra large widgets, I call them, take up obviously the bigger iPad screen. So yeah, you can now put widgets on your home screen. You also now have the app library. Again, these are two very important features that I love on my phone that I never could use on the iPad. So now you can use it on the iPad. In the app library, I'm very happy they actually did this. So you can actually access the app library from your dock. So if you just tap it right there, it'll open it up for you. Now, aside from those iPadOS 14 features that were added in, we now have some better ways to multitask. So again, Apple is improving this to make it a better computer, but we're not macOS still. But hey, I appreciate the efforts here, and I think this will be, I don't know, it's kind of weird to use, but I think it might be okay when you get used to it. The iPad, it's not like having a window on your Mac. You have different app instances and things, so it's kind of confusing. But you have this new multitasking menu, so it'll be available at the top of applications as 3 dots, so you can see it like that. And when you bring it up, you'll have 3 different choices here. So there's actually just the same app view. You can do the split view, or you can do the slide over, different ways like that. So you can also tap on different apps to open up, to put into those different views. And there's also a new center screen view as well. So if you have a slide over app, you could open up another part of that in the middle. So they call it a center window. And this also is kind of a nice thing, I believe, to have actually, because this kind of solves the problem I was mentioning earlier of having so many different instances of apps opening and having to find them. So this is a thing called the shelf. So all of your open windows of an application will be available at the bottom for you to see. So it's kind of like, if you had a taskbar or maybe a dock and you had it minimized down there, but they'll instead be kind of hovering here the entire time for you. So you see all these pages, documents right here. So you can work on one, tap on another to reference it, or things like that. The thing that would probably be even cooler for them to do is to use the shelf to have different applications. So for example, if you were on Pages, you could have a Safari window here, you could have another page document there, and then different apps like that. I think that would be pretty cool in my opinion. Also, the app switcher is a little bit different now. So now you can actually create different spaces and split view in the app switcher. So you literally just drag something onto another app and it creates it in there. And then also all this can be done with keyboard shortcuts now. Of course, we have some new note-taking features. So there's a new one here called Quick Note. So basically you can kind of swipe up from the corner, and if you're in any application, and you can jot down a quick note. Now still, I wish that you could do this from the home screen or the lock screen to start writing, but anyways, very cool. You can do this in anywhere you want to, and the quick notes are actually different sections, so you can see how they would be separated right here. And then with notes, there's also some new collaboration features. So you can do things now actually see activity. So if you were sharing a note with somebody, kind of reminds me of Google Docs. You can actually see changes that have been made or see who's joined and things like that. In an activity pane, you can actually mention people in notes. So if you needed them to make a change or you wanted them to approve something, you can mention them in the note. And you can also now hashtag your notes so you can identify them easier. Also, the Translate app has now been brought to iPad, and you can actually use it with the live text, of course, but you can also use it to do kind of an automated conversation. So you could literally just be holding an iPad, and if somebody else is speaking a different language, they just speak and it automatically will translate it for you right there. Now, the last thing they talked about with iPadOS is very interesting, but it kind of raises a lot of questions for me. So first off, Swift Playgrounds is a very popular way to learn how to code, obviously how to write Swift, and it's been an iPad app as well as a Mac app for quite some time. And I have tried it. It's pretty good and pretty fun. Kind of breaks things down in ways that I guess you could say normal people who aren't coders can understand, because learning to code obviously is like learning a new language. So you can now write full Swift apps on your iPad with Swift Playgrounds. And here's the other thing. If you write an app, you can literally submit it to the App Store. So it's going to be interesting to see how you can actually create a full-blown app on your iPad using the Swift app. Now, here's the thing. Does this mean that we're not going to get Pro apps on the iPad? I mean, we have the M1 chip. Obviously, that's how we can do code creation like this now and building apps. But does this mean we'll never get Pro apps like Xcode? Will there never be an Xcode for iPad? Will there never be Final Cut Pro or Logic Pro or things like that? So yeah, it's super cool, don't get me wrong, that we can now make an app on our iPad, but will there ever be a version of Xcode? That's all I want to know. So yeah, the rest of the stuff here is pretty much all, to go along with iOS 15. You get all those same features. They didn't really talk too much about iPadOS, which is why I said it was kind of disappointing. And the features they did add, well, I mean, there wasn't really a lot. I mean, half of it was from iOS 14. So, oh well, let's go ahead and move on. So next, Apple talked a lot about privacy. It's a huge thing for Apple right now, talking about privacy. And they added some nice privacy-related features here. So the first one has to do with your email. So in case you didn't know, you get a lot of marketing emails, or even you get spam emails. Sometimes they actually put little hidden tracking pixels in the email. And because all emails are basically HTML nowadays, when you open up an email, that tracking pixel collects all your information, including the fact that you opened the email. So that way, the sender knows your IP address, they know if you looked at the email, and they also now know that, hey, this is an active email account, so we can keep on spamming them. So that's a main reason why you never ever want to open any junk mail. Now, a way around this, and I actually made a video about it, was to disable the load remote images feature in MacMail, but now Apple has done it for you. So now we have mail privacy protection. So basically what this allows you to do is it's going to hide your IP address automatically for you. So they cannot track you, determine your location, and even prevent them from knowing that you open their email. So that's a huge new feature. I'm so glad Apple has finally added that in there. Also, Safari will hide your IP address as well, and I believe Safari is now also running the latest version of HTTPS instead of just HTTP. So yeah, those two IP address hiders are very important. Next up, Apple's going to have a new app privacy report. So this is literally just going to expose so many applications, but now Apple's going to let you know about every single application, the permissions that you gave it, how often they use it, for example, your location, your camera, microphone, etc. And they're even going to show you where your apps do domain, so basically tracking. So they're going to get exposed. A lot of apps are going to get exposed for not complying with Apple's privacy report, or their app tracking. So yeah, that's going to be very cool as well to see. Also, Siri is now going to be processed completely on your device. So this is good because it makes it way faster, but also more secure, since it's not going to be processed in the cloud. So yes, Siri is going to be completely run through your device. Now, Apple's made some changes with iCloud, which kind of has to do with privacy here. So, your iCloud is now going to be called iCloud Plus. So, if you pay for your iCloud, you will get this. So, it's going to replace the current storage plans that they have. So, this is how you're going to get the iCloud Private Relay, the Hide My Email, and more HomeKit security. So, you're going to get this new Private Relay feature. So, basically, it's going to connect you virtually to any network and browse Safari in even a more secure way. So again, you're going to hide your IP address and all that stuff and prevent stuff from creating profiles about you. Now, I guess this is kind of like a VPN, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. Hide My Email is going to be where basically it kind of masks your email. So instead of giving out your actual email, which is what causes, a lot of spam to build up in your junk, well, now it's going to just kind of randomly create your email. So that's going to be pretty cool. Also, something else to do with iCloud now. So Apple's changing a few things with the Apple ID. So if you cannot get into your account, you can set up a recovery contact. So if you trust like your parents or somebody like that, you can set it up to where they'll get a code, and you can choose them if you forgot your password, and they can give you the code and you can enter that to get into your iCloud account. Also, Google has done this for a while and some of the other places, but if you were to pass away, you can now have it set up to where your family members can access your iCloud account and keep your information. So definitely a nice thing to have as well. Next thing here they talked about was health related things. So now you're going to be able to share your health data. So you have your entire family. So if your parents are getting older and you want to check up on them, or maybe you just want to keep an eye on your kids' health, you can now do family sharing with your health. Also a new mobility walking. So basically it's going to let you know if you're not walking good and how to improve your mobility. You're also going to be able to see trends in your health. So, if something's changing with your resting heart rate or something like that, it'll let you know about it. And there's easier ways now to share data with your physician. Next thing here had to do with watchOS 8. So again, not a ton of new things here in watchOS, kind of like iPadOS, but there's some nice new changes. So the first thing here is we have a new mindfulness app, which is inspired by the Breathe app, of course. So this kind of helps you focus and reflect, while breathing kind of helps you relax. Also, the breathing app has a new animation inside of it to just change things up a bit. Sleep tracking will now track your respiratory rate, so very important indicator while you sleep. Your workouts will now be obviously different types, so you have some new dancing ones. You also have some Apple Fitness Plus content, and even a new artist spotlight that has been added. And there's a new portrait mode photos watch face. So if you have a portrait photo, you can use it on your watch face. It kind of gives it some more depth, kind of like a 3D look. So that's pretty cool. Also, the Photos app has been completely redesigned, and you can now share photos with either iMessage or email from your watch. Now, Apple next talked more about HomePod mini related things and kind of tvOS things, but they never actually mentioned tvOS by name, which was kind of interesting. But basically some home related items. So if you have your HomePod, you can play stuff on the TV from the HomePod now, so you can literally AirPlay it to your Apple TV. Your TV will now have your shared with you and the for all of you kind of things. So basically, if you have a family and everybody likes some different kind of content, it'll kind of put all your recommendations together and kind of mix them all together. So maybe you can find something that you all will agree to watch. Also, your HomePod Mini can now be used as the default speaker for your Apple TV. And you also will get lossless audio on the HomePod Mini as well. The Apple TV also got some new camera related things, so you can see your cameras better, and you can also toggle your controls better while you're looking at the camera. And also you can have package detection, so your cameras will now recognize any packages coming to your doorstep. And the Home app on your Apple Watch has been completely redesigned. Let's go ahead and talk about the macOS Monterey, so macOS 12. First thing here is a new universal control feature. So this is actually pretty interesting and pretty cool. So basically you just bring a device near your Mac and you can literally treat it as a secondary display kind of. So you could just move your cursor from your Mac to your iPad or vice versa. You can even transfer files back and forth. So yeah, really interesting there, and it even can work with more than two devices. So if you had another Mac or even another iPad, you could do it as well. Also, something interesting is you can now AirPlay to your Mac. So you could AirPlay music to your Mac and use the Mac speakers, or you can AirPlay a presentation or video or something to your Mac as well. Probably the most important announcement for the Mac though, I think, is the Shortcuts app. So no more Automator on the Mac. We're going to get the Shortcuts application, and Shortcuts are really awesome. So it's going to be cool to see what people come up with for macOS. And probably the other biggest change, which is actually across all of the OSs, is Safari. So Safari has a complete redesign here, so kind of feeling a little less cluttered. They removed some buttons and things. Your tabs are also all the way up here in line with your address bar, and they're spaced out, and again, less cluttered kind of feel. You can also have new tab groupings, so you can literally have sections for tabs. And again, this is across all of your devices. It looks really interesting on iOS, not gonna lie. Your address bar is actually at the bottom now, so pretty weird. Probably another really cool thing though is extension support across all of your devices. So you'll now be able to use extensions on your iPad, and I've already seen 1Password kind of teasing that their extension for Safari is working just fine on an iPad. So again, making the iPad more and more like a computer. And that's pretty much it for Monterey. Again, a lot of features that we've seen with iOS 15 make their way here as well. And then the final thing is they kind of hit a few developer related items. I mean, this is WWDC after all. So really there was just some new APIs that developers could access. There's also going to be concurrency with Swift now, which was a pretty requested feature. Some different changes to the App Store. So there's going to be App Store events and changes to app pages. And then Xcode is now going to be operating cloud-based. So again, those are pretty cool features too. Well, yeah, guys, that's it. That's everything Apple highlighted and talked about at WWDC. Of course, there's many more features to these operating systems that they didn't talk about. They just hit the main points. But I am going to have a video coming up soon about some of the top features that Apple didn't mention, because there are some cool ones in there. But overall, this WWDC was just slightly disappointing for me. I feel like they could have done a lot more with iPadOS, especially since we have an M1 chip in an iPad now. But yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how Apple kind of advances, what is the future of Mac and iPad? How are they going to coexist together? Because, we have the same processor in each one of them. And honestly, some of these features, it kind of felt like just a slightly improved iOS 14. Nothing huge redesign changes or anything like that, but who knows? We'll have to just wait and see what happens in the next few years, right? But Apple's always got a plan, and like I said earlier, they adopt some features slower than other OSs because they want to get it right. But yeah, guys, it's WWDC21. Let me know what you guys think. Will you be downloading any of the betas, or which OS are you most excited for? Let me know in the comments down below. Well, yeah, guys, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to the channel for more content coming soon. I'll catch you all in the next video.